Now, after all that, let's bring in Jennie Taer, investigative immigration reporter at the Daily Caller. Jennie, thanks so much for coming here on Thanksgiving weekend for us. This week, we saw this bizarre case of a speeding car crashing and exploding at a Niagara Falls bridge connecting the U.S. and Canada. Now, initially, they thought this was terrorism. Now it doesn't look like that. What's the latest we know? And, I mean, frankly, Jennie, I'm amazed that there are still even border checkpoints. I thought that anybody was just allowed to walk in. What's going on?
Right, exactly. Well, the northern border has not had a lot of focus, but has seen, something similar to what the southern border has seen in the last few years, which is a surge in illegal immigration. And yes, there are certain checkpoints, but it does lack a wall. This initially was said to be suspected terrorism. Now we're learning that that has been almost ruled out, it appears, from what the New York governor has said, Kathy Hochul. And it seems like there are a lot of questions still about what led to this. This vehicle was going into Canada. It was going at a high rate of speed. Some reports said 100 miles per hour. So I think that kind of dismisses any of the allegations that this person was moved to a secondary inspection, because how could you be going at such a high rate of speed and then, the vehicle went airborne and over a fence. So something really remarkable happened here, but we just don't know yet, and that's what police are investigating.
Very, very strange case, and you can see why they were concerned, especially with all the stuff we've spoken about the danger that people on that terror watch list are coming in to the country. But let's move to New York City from the New York border, where the migrant crisis is really intensifying. And there, Mayor Eric Adams has come out this week and warned there is nothing they can do to stop migrants from sleeping on the streets. What is happening in New York here, and how bad of a crisis is this becoming? Because we've also heard the administration there say this is costing them billions, and they're not going to be able to do a lot of city services for ordinary tax-paying New Yorkers. Is it all breaking down?
Oh, absolutely. It's breaking down. You've seen the cuts to the budget, like you discussed. Key sectors of the government there, the education system, the sanitation system, things that people really do need, New Yorkers need. At the same time, they are struggling to support these migrants, and that's how they're trying to pay for it. I think that Eric Adams has tried to do everything he can to move these people out. We travel down to the reticketing center that he has there. He's trying to actually give migrants the option to leave New York City and provide them free tickets out of the city to wherever they want to go in the world, actually. Some of them have gone back to their home countries. But when I went to the center, I spoke to so many of these migrants, and none of them wanted to leave New York City. They still felt like they had more there as far as resources and free, handouts that they could have rather than any other place in the country, or, of course, the option to return to their home country.
And I think there's a really interesting bit of politics playing out here, too, because, New Yorkers who are doing it tough and maybe who rely on a lot of services and charities are not happy about the stress that this new population is putting on those services. Have a listen to this.
They was first online for the turkeys this morning. If they tell you to be there at 11 o'clock, you get there like 10:30, 10:45, but they already out there. The line is from over there to over here.
Free food giveaways, especially during the holidays, have become a source of tension between longtime New Yorkers struggling to get by and newly arrived migrants who are using the system to survive.
We would never turn anyone away for a meal, but there simply just is not enough for both NYCHA residents and the migrant shelter residents.
Now, New York City votes very heavily Democratic. Do you think the Biden administration is going to be concerned that some of these voters might take it out on them come next November?
I think certainly when it hits them in their pockets, that's when you have a possible shift in votes. It reminds me of situations like we saw in September 2021 at the southern border in Del Rio, Texas, where you had about 14,000 migrants show up in a matter of days. And the city, which is one of the lowest, funded counties in the country, had to scramble to do everything. New York City is only, having to deal with partial part of that. They have more resources than a city like Del Rio, and they have the community, and they have all of that, but it appears that it's actually broken. That the city has said, they don't have anything that they can offer anymore. They're trying to get them out of there, in fact, like we said. So this is something that the border communities have been warning about, and no one had listened until finally it came to them. And it didn't just come to them through Texas Governor Greg Abbott, who started busing them. I mean, most of these migrants have come on their own.
And Jennie, finally, before I let you go, I need to ask you about this amazing exclusive that you had on the Daily Caller website about illegal marijuana farms being run by Chinese nationals, bizarrely across the state of Maine. What did you uncover here?
So we visited some of these properties after we had heard about the 270 suspected Chinese illegal marijuana grows that had popped up in the state of Maine. And what we found is just an astonishing situation where you have these operating in plain sight in rural Maine, and the communities there have alerted law enforcement to this issue, but no one seems to be doing anything about this. The memo came out over the summer. That was the federal government that was, warning about this. And then, of course, local police and local sheriffs know about this issue, but all of these sites seem to be still active from what we've seen. For example, one of them was across the street from a daycare and reeked of marijuana. They're taking up the rural power supply, causing blackouts for their neighbors. They're doing all kinds of things that are making the community feel very insecure, but they also feel forgotten because no one is heeding their warnings or their calls for law enforcement to go after these people.
Absolutely shocking, Jennie, and as I always say, let the borders break down and law and order soon follows. Jennie Taer, thank you so much. Read her stuff on dailycaller.com. It's excellent, and you'll learn a lot about what's happening there.